Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Guruve Namaha. Acharya Mam Vijaniyan Navamanyeta Karhichit Namartya Buddhya Suyeta Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. हे अकारण करुणा पतित पावन श्री कृष्ण, तुमसे विमुख होने के कारण अनादिकाल से हमने अनंत अनंत दुख पाए एवं पा रहे हैं। पाप करते करते अंतःकरण इतना मलिन है चुका है कि उसी को द्वारा यह जान भी अपने बुझाव के पसारे अपनी वात्सल्यमयी दृष्टि से हमारी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हो, तुम्हारी शरण में नहीं आ पाता। O my divine beloved, causelessly merciful Sri Krishna, having ignored you since time immemorial, I have been suffering due to sins committed lifetime after lifetime. My mind have become so polluted, even though your saints are telling me you're waiting for me with arms outstretched to embrace me, with a divine life to grace me. Still I fail to surrender to you completely. All glories to Sri Radhesham. All glories to all saints and sages. All glories to the Devas. All glories to all aspiring souls. Thank you for joining me. As we all know, we only perform tasks, we only work if there is some benefit to be had from our efforts. So, to develop interest in anything, we need to take a look at the benefits in performing that task, or we may not be inspired in the pursuit of loving God also. The human nature is to want to know what's in it for me. So the scriptures describe that there are two stages of the practice for loving God. It's called sadhana bhakti, which means practice to love God. And then you attain prem bhakti, which is the result of your practice. When the mind gets purified by practicing to love God, when the mind gets purified, you will be bestowed, you will be given by the grace of God and the true spiritual master what is called prem bhakti, divine love for God. Now, the last time we discussed the signs of loving God, and today we will emphasize a bit on the result of loving God. When you have attained a mind that is now purified by your practice, what are the signs, what defines such an individual who have achieved this state of God realization? In the Gita, in chapter 2, verse 54 and 55, chapter 2, verse 54 and 55, some of this is explained. The question was asked, Stita prajna ska bhasha samaristasha keshav. Stita dehi kim prabhasata, kim asita, vrajata kim. My Lord, what defines an individual who has attained God realization? What are the characteristics of a person who is firmly established in God realization, who has achieved love of God? Because God realization is accompanied by love of God, complete detachment from material desires, You renounce the material so-called pleasures, because now you have achieved the pleasures of God, which are unimaginable to the materialistic mind. So when you have something superior, you don't settle for what is less. So renunciation of material sensual pleasures leave the mind. And now, because you are enjoying the pleasures that are of a higher standard, which comes from God realization. So renunciation, love of God, and the knowledge of God. Not mundane knowledge, not the knowledge that we acquire by our efforts, but when the mind gets purified, three things happen. You will get the love that God has, the knowledge that God has, and complete freedom from the desires of the world. So the question was asked, what are the characteristics of such an individual who have achieved this state of God realization? And the answer the Lord gave in 255 is that Prajahati yada kaman sarvan part manogatan atmani eva atmana tushta stita pragnas tadopjate. That such an individual rejects naturally all material desires that enter into the mind. Because when you have something superior, you lose interest in what is inferior. So far we think that the fullness of joy is just things to see, things to taste, things to touch, things to smell, things to feel, things to hear. These are the five sources of pleasure we indulge in. Someone asks you, so you've never been to Paris? So, well, you should go there and see the wonderful city of Paris, and you know, we want to see the Taj Mahal. Did you go to see the Taj Mahal? So in the life, whatever you see, taste, touch, or smell, the desire for that lasts only so long as you have not seen those places. And when you have seen Taj Mahal once or twice, then you don't care to see it anymore. The pleasures of the senses are limited and temporary. So the one who has achieved the joy that comes with God realization, he rejects temporary sources of pleasure, because his mind is now inundated with divine happiness. So the Lord says that such an individual, he rejects the desires of the world, and he experiences Atmani eva atmanaha tushtaha. He experiences complete contentment with the spiritual joy that he now experiences within himself, through the self, by the self. You see, as long as there's material desires, there's restlessness. Today is the appearance of Lord Nrsimha, and a very interesting conversation took place where we can understand the nature of material desires, that these desires keep us restless, and instead of fulfilling our hope for happiness, it gives us the opposite. It gives us distress, because as long as the mind is restless, as long as there's no peace of mind, now how can there be happiness for one lacking peace of mind? When Lord Nrsimha killed Hiranyakashipu, all the devas came there, the angels, the devas, they came there to offer their gratitude. And the Lord was in a very angry state because he had just fought and killed this demon and all his associates, and the Lord was looking very scary to everyone who was present there and looking at him. He had his eyebrows were in a frown, and his face was in a very sneer. He had ripped the demon's chest open and took his intestines, made a garland around his neck. His terrifying nails were dripping with blood. So he was a very frightful sight, and no one dared to approach him. But they sent Prahlad, who the Lord came to rescue. And Prahlad went, a fearless little boy, he went and he prostrated in front of the Lord, who then picked him up and became pacified by the very innocence of that little boy. And then the Lord asked Prahlad, Barmango, ask me for a boon. Prahlad said a very interesting thing. He said that, Lord, any servant of yours, if we are servants of God, this applies to us. Prahlad said, my Lord, any servant of yours who desires something from you, he's really not a servant of yours. And any master who gives something to a servant because he's recognized by the servant as a giver, then that master is not worthy of worship. So Prahlad was very clever in saying this, and he said, my Lord, can I say something to you? And I don't mean to be offensive, but as soon as a desire enters into the mind, the senses of perception, see, hear, taste, touch, smell, feel, when these senses of perception, these five organs of action, 2 hands, 2 feet, speech, organ of procreation, an organ of excretion, the mind, one's vital energy, one's truthfulness, one's righteousness, one's firmness in the practice of devotion and love for you, one's understanding, one's honor, one's compassion, and one's memory all diminish. Now look at that. As soon as that desire enters into us, the tendency to lie to fulfill your desire may certainly be an option if you are not able to fulfill your desire in an honest manner. Then you lose compassion for others, because when there's a selfish desire to be fulfilled, you don't care about the interests of others. Your desire to be fulfilled becomes your primary motive, and you lose compassion for the needs of others. Then your truthfulness will go. Then, because truthfulness and compassion goes out the door, naturally your righteousness goes out the door, and then understanding of life now is diminished, because you don't understand the difference between right and wrong anymore. You become focused on only fulfilling your desire. Then memory of who you are the divine soul, and you live in a material temporary body. That is forgotten, because now you are focused on only fulfilling the desire that is in regards to the body. So the idea and the memory of you being a soul and the purpose of the soul, that is also forgotten. So all of these things keep you, material desires keep you forgetful of who you are, And it's the greatest tragedy, because if you don't recognize and live with the conscious awareness that you're a soul, how can you desire in regards to what are the needs of the soul? So the first and greatest loss of being full of material desires is that you forget that you're an individual soul, a divine personality, and your purpose now is forgotten. The only purpose remains that which is in regards to the body, and therefore your mind will only be filled with material desires, and you can't focus on what is the purpose of you, the soul. So it's a great loss, and this has taken place life after life for countless lives. So Prahlad is establishing the danger of material desires. Then he went on to say, my Lord, on the other hand, if you want to give me a boon, a blessing, please give me the intelligence by which no new desire sprouts in my heart. Now, isn't this amazing? Such a wonderful blessing to ask God for. Let no new desire sprout in my heart. Let me live in contentment with my lot, and let me not keep hankering for more and more of the world. Let no new desire sprout into my heart. And my Lord, the man who is able to give up deep-rooted desires, he immediately becomes eligible to attain your love and to attain God realization. So, God realization, one of the most important signs of someone who has attained God realization is that he has no interest in material desires. He lives with the bare essentials and is satisfied with that, because he has a joy that ordinary people are not even able to understand. It's described as an inexplicable joy. That joy that always is experienced by that God-realized soul. So when one reaches a state of God realization, he experiences the first thing, not consciously, freedom from material desires. The second thing he experiences is that nasochati. He stops being fearful. When you have overcome the desires of the world, mainly people are living in fear of what is yet to get, and they live in resentment for what took place in the past, and therefore they miss out on the present. And that individual who has attained God realization, he always lives in the present, in the moment, and he has no fear about what's to come in the future. He is completely reposing in the lap of God, completely secure in the fact that God is his protector, God is his guide. Why should I worry? When during the battle of Kurukshetra, Arjuna, the grandson of Bhishma Pitta, a favorite grandson, and Bhishma was on the opposite side of the battle. And Duryodhana accused Bhishma that, I know that you love your grandson, and that's why you're not trying, you don't want to kill him. And then why did you accept the position of being the commander-in-chief of my army? And so Duryodhana chewed out Bhishma, who then in a moment said, look, tomorrow itself I will kill Arjuna. So here in this, Krishna became very disturbed because Krishna became the guide and protector of Arjuna in this battle. And he couldn't rest thinking about Bhishma, who was invincible. If he had made such a vow, he will carry it out, and Arjuna will be killed the next day. So Krishna couldn't sleep, and then he went over to the camp where Arjuna was sleeping. When he walked into the camp where Arjuna's bed was, he saw that Arjuna was comfortably asleep and snoring. And he went to him and shook him and said, "Hey, Part, did you not hear that Bhishma said that he will kill you and in tomorrow's battle? And here you are, you're not even worried, you're sleeping and so comfortably?" Arjuna looked at Krishna. "Please, Krishna, let me rest. Since you, who are my protector, guide, since you, my Lord, are worried for me, why should I worry also?" So one should have this kind of fearlessness when you truly have faith in God. Then you don't worry about what the future will bring. He has brought you so far. Why are you worrying about what is yet to come? Live in the moment, live fearlessly, and enjoy the fact that the pleasure of God is being enjoyed by you. Happiness is a decision, and especially if your mind is free of any desires for anything, then the mind is peaceful naturally, and one can be happy right now. As long as there's desires that are yet to be fulfilled, there's anxiety to fulfill those desires, and then you can't be happy. But the one who is contented with the bare essentials, he could be happy all the time. And so one experiences nakanshati, he becomes desireless of material things. He becomes nasochati, he becomes fearless, he's free of worry. And nadveshti, he has no resentment. Not dveshti. You see, attachment in this world, the mind gets attached in who you love and who you resent. If there's anyone that you are resentful of, they may stay in your mind more prominently than someone you love. So the one who has achieved God realization, he becomes free of resentment. And the next quality that he experiences, na ramate. Na ramate means that the things that people run after as a source of enjoyment, parties and going to this club and clothes and cars and all the things that people run after with the hope of receiving happiness from those things. This individual who has attained God realization, he doesn't run after such things. He doesn't go and spend a lot of money in going to concerts and buying expensive clothes just to be in fashion. And he's not running after newer cars, and he's not busy with house, and he lives a simple as possible life because he's enjoying the bliss of God. So naramate, he doesn't run after the things of the world. And not sahi means all the plans that people are engaged in, which are usually in the acquisition of something. You know, when you have a desire to acquire something, that is one level of anxiety. When will I get it? How will I get it? Who is creating an obstacle? Who is an impediment in my way of getting what I want? All of these things come to the fore when there's a hope of acquiring something. So most people spend their lives in the acquisition of something, and then the rest of their life in the preservation of what is acquired. So the desire to acquire something is one level of anxiety, and then the need, the forced need to maintain, to preserve what you have acquired now is another level, maybe even much more anxiety created in the effort to preserve what has been acquired. So that individual who has attained God realization and has attained prem bhakti, love of God, he now becomes free of these negatives. And he begins to experience matto bhavati. Those are things that he becomes free of, and these are things that comes from, naturally from loving God. Matto bhavati. He begins to be like a man who is maddened with, he's intoxicated with the love that he's getting from God. The love that comes naturally from his God realization, from that prem bhakti that is now put into that purified heart. Matto bhavati. Matto means he's drunk. Drunk without taking any liquor. He is now taking the divine liquor that comes from God. You don't need to go and buy it from the store. It comes naturally into the heart. And it's called matto bhavati. He becomes drunk with the joy of God. An inexplicable joy. An ever-increasing joy. And it has no reason for it. He is always just happy. And the next thing that happens is Atmaram Bhavati. He now lives in the nature of the soul. What is the nature of the soul? The nature of the soul is always full of knowledge. That individual no more operates in the constraints of material intelligence, material mind, material senses. That individual has been given access to God's intelligence, God's knowledge, God's mind, God's senses. All the things that are of God now becomes the utility of that individual God-realized soul. So, my dear aspiring souls, then that individual experiences sabda bhavati. Sab means that he is now constantly feeling contented. And the next thing he experiences tripto bhavati. Tript means satisfied. Now he feels and lives in a state of mind where there is nothing else to be gained. There is nothing else to pursue. There is nothing else to want. He lives in tripto bhavati, completely satiated. So these are some of the results, which are just a little summary of what one experiences as the benefits of love for God. Thank you very much for joining me. Please do so the next time we will discuss further this subject. Jai Shri Radhe.